me, it's the one and all Paul Franz welcoming you to Starfleet Universe On Call. And tonight we have Doug. Say hi, Doug.
Hi, Doug.
And I saw we have Russ there. If you want to say hi, you can say hi.
Hi.
Cool. So, tonight I figure we move off the weapons of the Omegas and go on to some of the interesting systems that the Omegas have. And I think just for those of you who've been muddling through, yes, this is going to be my last podcast on different Omega systems. Okay? So we'll figure out something new for next week. So don't worry about it. Possibly SFB, possibly related to a single rule in SFB or something along those lines. Actually, no. Don't worry about that at the moment. Yeah, let's think about in 2 weeks. I will not be doing a podcast, and also I'll be doing that. I won't do a podcast for the week after that either. So the first 2 weeks in June there will be no podcast because I will be on the road. So I'm not sure I'll have the setup to actually record a live show. I might perchance maybe record something locally and just and just post it, and that might be about it. I will see if I can do that and remember to do that because I know the first week in June is going to be very busy, very busy. But anyway, moving on and forward. What I was going to start with was actually OG 1.0, which is flame shields, also called fire shields. Defensive item used exclusively from the L'Oreal Collective, and at least one trusted ally of the Singers. It projects a shield of energy that looks like fire around the ship, causing an energy backlash against anyone who fires direct fire weapons on the vessel. So basically, you fire at the ship that has a flame shield active, it comes back and it does damage to you, which is I think very cool. Which is why I selected this one as a weapon of as a system of interest. Activation can activate any impulse and can be also deactivated either by exceeding the activation time or voluntary deactivation during the same step, which is the final functions stage. 6B11, that's the impulse activity moniker. The effect, the one I'm really talking about is the energy backlash, which is direct fire weapons as defined by the individual. Blah, 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 blah. To determine the damage caused by the firing unit, caused to the firing unit, divide the damage done to the protected shield facing by 4, so it is 1/4, running all fractions of 0.5 up, anything less than 0.5 down. The result of the damage is applied to the facing shield of the firing unit. So a quarter of the damage. So if I fire, like, let's say a fully overloaded photon, and against a unit having a fire shield active, that means I get 4 points of damage against my facing shield, which is fine as long as the shield's not down, I guess. Backlash is automatic and unerring. It does not affect it by EW, so it doesn't matter. Backlash damage is treated as a separate volley to any damage caused by other weapons. So if, except with the fire shield fires on you, at the same time you fire at it, what happens is that the damage done by the backlash occurs as a separate volley. Okay, other restrictions. Okay, a Phoenix ship cannot operate on a unit slower than the effective speed of 8 due to the limit of flow in the warp field. So basically, you have to be at least a speed of 8 for a fire shield to be active. Um, Now, while the fire shield is active, the ship cannot launch shuttles or mines. Anytime a mine later shuttle launched, it would be destroyed. This affects only mines and shuttles deployed by the generating ship. Uh, while the flame shield is active, the shield cannot launch any weapon or system with FD roll, basically any kind of drones kind of thing. Which is fine because they actually have, I think if I correctly, they have fireballs. So it can use at the same time. Energy required. Flame shield can be powered by up to 4 points of energy, each of which operates for 1/4 of the turn. I'm sorry, 1/8 of a turn. So if you max it out to 4, that's gonna be 16 impulses before it's shut down. The energy of the amount of energy cannot be increased after the shield is activated. So obviously you should be able, you can I was wondering, you can use reserve power upon activation to increase it compared to what you previously had put into it. Holding energy of flame shield can be held at no energy cost, but must be used within 96 consecutive impulses, i.e. 3 turns, or it is lost. So you can charge your flame shield, but if you don't use it for 3 turns, then you have to recharge it. Cooldown. After this has been used, a flame must cool down for a period of 32 impulses. For each 4 impulses are predicted to produce. So, if you did for full 16 impulses, it would require 128 or 4 turns before it could be activated again. So basically, it's best if you don't use all 4 points of energy, or don't charge it for 4 points of energy. Probably you want maybe 2, or you can do it down to 1. But my guess is you probably need 2, because that gives you a full 8 impulses. Otherwise, I think 4 impulses. Yeah, range might change brackets, but the question is whether your opponent is willing to take the additional damage. It's possible that they do because they have full shields. Like, yeah, a little bit of damage, I'll be fine. Okay. Okay. As mentioned here, if the multiple spinning shields are active at the same unit simultaneously, they cannot be combined. So in other words, in my mind, you would do so. There's no reason to have multiple flame shields active at the same time, except in the case of where you want them overlapping a little bit. For example, this one that you just brought up, like an impulse 4, is coming down on like impulse 8, but you have another flame shield, so you activate it on impulse 7, so that when the one deactivates at that impulse 8 at that same part of the segment, it then will automatically just roll over. Most probably it would actually do you'd activate it on that impulse 8, and it's you're still covered. But this is just to let you know that having multiple fire shields open to activate at the same time is kind of pointless. Flame shields are just protected. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about the SIG variants. Plasma, they're okay. This one actually a little more interesting, I thought. Subspace coagulator, or as the chlorophons like to call them, a spore caster. But the reason why other empires call it subspace coagulator is because the name better explains the physical effects, which is kind of cool. The activation, final functions again. The effect, this is the kind of cool thing, which is you fire it on a hex. Big surprise. But 2 impulses after activation, this is during the webcaster stage. That's when it gets activated. The target hex, which was, that you're targeting, that one becomes coagulated. And this effect dissipates in 32 impulses at the same segment. Now, 4 impulses after activation, 2 more hexes appear. And that is 2 hexes, which is one in one direction, one in the other direction, and they have to be exactly 180 degrees from one another. So you can't put them like side by side. No, you can't do that. So, and then 6 impulses after activation, 4 more hexes are coagulated or created. Now, this depends on how you do the pattern. You have 2 choices, which is either bubble mode, which is circular, which basically just creates, as shown in this little chart here, which is all the hexes around that single target hex, or in a line, which is the target hex in the middle, and it's a straight line of 7 hexes, right along the hex row. You can't, no side slips, nothing like that. So and the effect of the subspace coagulator is that those hexes are treated as asteroid hexes for all purposes listed below, except those listed below. Chlorophon ships and units subtract 1 from the die roll when moving through the subspace coagulator hexes. Webs cannot be anchored to the SC hexes. Freestanding web cast into coagulated hexes will instantly solidify it will solidify instantly, counting 16 impulses during the impulse of casting. If a combination of a freestanding web occupying a coagulated space will persist for the 2 durations left remaining. Okay. If a web is cast on a coagulated hex on the 32nd impulse that exists, the coagulated space will persist until the web evaporates, effectively gaining 16 impulses of duration. So basically, the coagulated space is held in place by the web, which is kind of an interesting effect. Multiple coagulated patterns, several coagulated patterns could be generated in a single hex by overlapping areas of effect, but there's no added benefit. In other words, it's still just treated as an asteroid hex. And the duration is 32 months from the moment of the initial hex forms. Although the added hexes don't form until 2 or 4 impulses after this hex. So that means, all right. Okay. So in other words, it is 34 impulses after you activate it. Right. Because it says after the first initial hex is coagulated, which is 2 impulses after you actually fire it. So, energy requires the subspace coagulator requires 2 points of energy from any source for 2 consecutive turns. The first turn arming must come from allocated or may come from either allocated or reserve. So you can start it using reserve power. Holding, they cannot be held. So basically, it uses a rolling delay procedure. So after the first turn, second turn, the third turn becomes if you hold it, quote unquote, if you quote unquote holding it for a third turn, actually it's just a rolling delay. So the second turn becomes the first turn, and the third turn becomes the second turn of arming. You know, and the subspace quarks are only available to chlorophons. In case you have any ideas. This is an interesting idea. Remember the flame shield? Well, there are also flame shield projectors. These flame shield projectors set up a flame shield defenses on nearby friendly ships. The device literally projects a shield onto the target unit, where it operates for a few impulses, then collapses, which is cool. The flame shield protector is activated at the same time as normal flame shields. The flame shield projector institutes active flame shield on the target. Okay, they require the same amount of power as actual flame shields, so have the same cooldown period. Yeah. The target of the must not be further than 8 hexes from the generating ship. Okay, and the target of the flame shield projector must be within arc at all times. So, in other words, if you target a friendly ship, you cannot turn in such a way that the FSP, the projector, is out of arc. Oh, a ship held in a tractor by a larger enemy unit cannot be protected by a flame shield onto any target other than the tractoring unit. Oh. A unit projecting a flame shield is if a unit projecting a flame shield is protracted by a larger unit, one which is not the target of the projected flame shield, the flame shield is lost. So, okay, that's bad. Here's an interesting one, which is they have what's called jammers. Jammers are modified special sensors operated by certain Hiver specialty ships. Although they have some of the abilities of the special sensors, they also have a unique power known as arc jamming, which provides offensive, offensive EW to all ships within the jammer's arc. This technology was initially deployed in Y-177 and first used during the failed invasion of Drex space. Don't ever mess with the Drex. One of the systems here is the supercomputer for the Drex, which I'm obviously going to be passing right by. To me, there's nothing interesting about it except for that it's one of the few rules that, unlike supercomputers aren't. Another optional, but I think the rule might be even considered experimental. So I would,
I like the positron flywheel.
Oh,
You're welcome.
yeah, another one of those rules that never, ever, ever use. Never, ever. At least with the hidden cloak rules, there is a penalty, which is basically a BPV penalty. The ship is worth a lot more if it's got a hidden cloak. Now whether the calculation is correct, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, unless defined differently in these rules, jammers operate in all ways as special sensors, the same regular fair cost. As special sensors, jammers can actually use any of the following special sensor abilities, which is lending ECM or CCM, attracting drones, identifying, seeking weapons, or self-protection. Arc jamming. The primary ability of the jammers is their ability to jam sensors of units within a given arc. Arc jamming is announced and takes immediate effect in Scout's begin or voluntary end of lending step lock-on stage. Arc jamming affects all units in the arc, not including the generating unit, out to a maximum of range of 15 hexes. So all EW applied to the arc jamming function counts as offensive EW for all purposes. And the jam ship must follow all rules as restrictions. Of course, the use of arc jamming can be detected at the tactical level. Who cares? Okay. Okay. The arc. A unit must be an arc affected to be affected by the arc jamming. Big surprise, as I just said. For example, if a seeking weapon is about to strike a friendly unit, the jamming ship could use a tactical maneuver to bring the controlling unit into the arc of the jammer, producing offensive EW that would affect the resulting impact. Wow. I think that's how that worked. But that is cool, because instead of like a special sensor, you only can do offensive EW against a single ship. Jammers can do it against all units in that arc of the jammer. Looks like the cost. I don't see anything mentioning about additional cost. It's the same cost as a special sensor. It just has special abilities. Ooh. I gotta look at this one. Which is Soul Shields. Of course, this is the Soldra, the vampires. Use a powerful type of shield unique to their ships, Soul Shields, a coin named by Belasco during the invasions, which can be shifted each turn to face in any direction desired. Okay, each turn, okay. I was wondering if each impulse. In addition, they regenerate automatically during a scenario and more quickly as soldier ships drains life energy from its enemies, which is always an interesting thing, which is the soldier have, which is the ability to suck the life force from your crew, which makes things interesting for Andromedans. I have to double check on that, because my guess that the Andromedans are, I'm not sure if they're affected or not. My guess they're not, which means they don't have life energy, which means they're electronic. Don't know.
Bunch of soulless andros.
That's possible. The soul shields are shown as a single column arranged in blocks. Right. Energy cost. The soul shields cost different and varying amounts of energy depending on the size class. Well, that's like that's regular shields. The cost to operate soul shields is shown on the SSD. Okay, whatever. Okay, if that ship has, okay, for example, Soldier CA has cost of 1 point per 6 blocks. That is, if that ship has 14 shield blocks, which still possess at least one box, the player could use 3 points of energy to power them all. Use 2 points of energy and power only 12 of them, selecting which ones to activate, or use 1 point of power to activate only 6 blocks. So it almost, as I mentioned here, soul shields don't have a minimum shield. So basically, you can your soul shields can have different levels. instead of like the standard shields, which is either you have off, minimum, and on. Minimum being basically a 5-box shield. Okay. Okay, beginning each turn during the allocation phase, how much power is allocated after you players determine how much it's going to allocate. Each shield block must be assigned a specific shield facing. For example, a soldier ship with 10 powered shield blocks could choose to assign 3 shield arc number 1, 4 to shield number 2, 2 to shield arc number 5, and 1 to shield arc number 6, and assigning none to shield arcs 3 or 4. Unpowered shield blocks must also be assigned a facing. So if you only charge certain shield blocks, the ones that you didn't charge, they still get assigned to a shield facing. Okay, big surprise. The shield blocks cannot be assigned. Cannot be changed during the turn. The number of the shield blocks assigned to each shield facing can be detected by level B. The strength of each block can be detected by level I. If tactical intelligence is not used, this information must be announced in the energy allocation phase at the same time as other umpires announce whether the shields are powered or not. Which is always to me interesting, which is if you don't power your shields, that makes sense. But not announcing that your shields are powered, I think that by default everyone assumes that the shields are powered. Oh boy. Big surprise. When resolving Hellborn damage, enveloping hyper cannon and enveloping hyper cannon damage against the soldier shields, treat all shields as if they were of equal strength for purpose of calculating damage assigned to each shield. Okay, so basically divide each total damage by 6 and just apply that to each shield. Okay. A soldier ship can voluntarily leave some of the boxes on a given shield block down or drop them at any time and raise them later. This is often done to facilitate regeneration, and these shield boxes are not lost. These are not lost if the shield block is destroyed. Okay, unlike normal shields. Regeneration shield. Okay, shields can be regenerated during combat. The shield generation occurs at the end of each turn, big surprise. Any shield block which is not fully destroyed will regenerate one destroyed box automatically. This requires no power or effort by the soldier ship and can erase damage received at the same turn. Wow. Note that a block with no damage will receive no benefit. And for each enemy crew unit drained of life by a black shard, those nasty little suckers, during a given turn, the only block can erase all damage marked on a single shield block. Okay, for one crew unit energy, it basically will erase all damage for a single shield block at the end of the turn. And that can be at the end of the same turn. Sorry, life energy can be used for this purpose, even if the only player had no damage at the start of the turn. Right. Nasty little sucker. Ooh. This is a reminder for those who play Soldra. I'm going to quickly go through it, which is Dark Matter damage procedure. All damage caused by dark matter on PA panels is permanent. There is no leak or energy absorbed. If this would reduce the capacity of panels below zero. Any excess dark matter damage will do internals instead of degrading the panel. Okay. Dark matter weapons do not destroy cargo, hull, barracks, repair, fabrication, or works. Other items not listed above, which are destroyed on this list, e.g. mine racks, are still destroyed normally. Hits list in Acts number 7E as convertible. Blah blah blah. If a hit roll on attack is to be scored on a system listed, like cargo hull, that kind of thing.
You're cutting out.
I'm cutting
Your
out?
voice is cutting out. Yeah, your voice cut out for a moment,
Okay.
but you're back.
Okay, cool.
I can see you still talking, but it just cut out for a moment there.
Okay. Ross, did that cut out for you too? Is Russ still around? Don't know. But anyway, available targets do not mark the hit, but count this point as 1 point of damage scored in that volley. Next time that same roll is made, all subsequent rolls that are made as part of the volley, skip to the next column. Oh yeah, this is why this is a bugger. For example, you roll a 6 on the attack, normally scored a forward hull. It would score no internal, but the next time you roll a 6, the forward hull would be skipped, and the next hit impulse would be scored. So basically, it's still considered quote unquote damage on the first time you hit it, but it doesn't actually damage that spot. It actually just marks it. Say, okay, if you, as kind of that system is destroyed, quote unquote destroyed, for the purpose of the next volley. That if you only for that row. If you roll another 6 in this case, it then actually hits impulse. It's not so the first time you roll a 6, it doesn't skip forward hull and go right to impulse. The internal is completely skipped altogether. Damage would continue to be scored normally from that point. I.e., if you roll another 6, you get another impulse would be destroyed. Players should mark each to be skipped hit on the deck with a dot or dash, whatever, or other convenient mark to remind them that it has been hit on the. Okay. This is what I haven't implemented this as part of the SAP Online client yet. Actually, that and it would actually, as I mentioned last week, dark matter damage will require actually the person who is actually flying the ship that got hit to say, "Oh, this is dark matter energy," and obviously it's going to require different. I assume that's a different volley. That if I'm not sure if the soldier firing weapon has any weapons that actually aren't dark matter. It's possible they do, but I don't know that much about the soldier, to be honest. Right, big surprise. As I said, dark matter energy is always recorded and resolved separately. Yep. Dark matter weapons damage excess damage normally and can destroy a ship, although they cannot be converted to cargo or repair. If a ship has systems that are struck like cargo hull damage points, e.g. shuttles on balconies, mine racks, these systems must be damaged rather than being skipped. Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. Skip damage points do not count for purposes of computing crew. Basically, note that the quote leak points against drawing power absorbers in those situations when non-dark matter hits the panels that are filled or degraded by dark matter energy are treated as normal internal procedure and not the dark matter. Okay. But yeah, the crew use casualty. That's one of those things that I don't think many people actually use, which is crew unit casualties. Even though I think it's a standard part of the rules, but I think people usually don't count their crew units. They should. I'd have to check the list of rules for the 500 BPV tournament on whether that's actually actively being used. Oh, that's another kind of interesting. Huh. There's a system, though it affects weapons, which is warp weapon turrets. The warp placed many of the weapons in turrets, which could be pivoted to different facing, in effect, altering the arcs of all weapons on the turret. So, the Kari, that was one of the C4 empires that actually had a turret, which was interesting. You actually ever see the Kari, it basically looks like a tank. And for those who did not realize it, Kari is Iraq in reverse. So,
Alrighty.
big surprise. 'Cause I'm pretty sure that C4 was put out possibly during the first Iraqi war, or at least inspired by the first Iraqi war. Yeah. Turrets have 3 arcs, primary arc, and 2 others, left and right. Indicating new arcs require when the turn is pivoted 60 degrees to either side. The prime arc is just above the turret label for the SSDs. Actually, I just want to see something because I think, give me this. Oh, I remember what that is now. Okay. I want to see if I have it. Because I might. Oh, maybe I put it there. Okay. Ebook library. Da-da-da. Game books. Nope, I don't see there. I know I got it from Barry. I don't see it. Nope. Okay, I do not see it. Crap.
What are you looking for?
I was looking for the Omega SSDs. I know Barry sent me a copy. I just don't know where I put it. So, oh well. Because I want to show people what the SSD looks like. For those of you on the video feed. For the range of pivot, the turret can either 60 to the left or 60 to the right relative to the primary arc. This gives a turret a maximum of 3 positions, left pivoted, right pivoted, or not pivoted at all. And for example, FA every turret can pivot, give it left, which gives it an LF left, or right front, right arcs, but cannot pivot further. It cannot, for example, be pivoted to left rear. Okay. So it can basically it can be facing directly forward, or it can go off to one side or go off to the other side. But that's it. It's not a full turn, which can go. Actually, I don't think real turns when it comes to tanks can turn around 360 degrees. I don't know if that's possible. Um, okay.
I'm not entirely sure on that one.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah,
I
and
think in the pre-electronic days they could.
mhm. Yeah, that I was thinking about that exactly that, which is all the cables and so forth that run into the turret could be easily tangled up and so forth.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they handle that.
Right,
Uh,
me neither. For all I know, they might actually you can do it. You just gotta be careful. As in, you can go 100. Well, you can go 180 degrees one direction. Then you have to come back. You know, you never know.
yeah, but you know what? If you're in that position, you're probably pretty hosed.
Yeah, if you want to be firing, um, basically a delaying action, you probably or rather be driving in reverse. Okay. Okay.
Well,
Pivot.
actually, they can go 180 degrees because a lot of tanks do have a piece on the back that they pop up and they can rest the barrel on.
Hmm.
So basically, the barrel is pointing straight back as they're driving forward, and they do that for like railheads and other things they transportation needs.
Hmm.
So they're going to put it up on the back of a truck and drive it somewhere. You're not going to see the tank with the barrel sticking out the front and down. It's going to be turned around and resting on a basically a bipod that pops up off of the back of the tank. And then when they don't need that, they unhook it and drop the bipod and turn the turret around.
Understood. Um, for pivoting, it occurs during energy allocation and is announced during speed determination phase. So when you do the announcement of speed, and after the announcement of intention to dock or undock. Um, in the case of turrets in the primary unpivoted arc, player must specify during the energy allocation phase which direction turret will be pivoting. Okay. Pivoting actually costs you 1 point of energy. So um, for each turret, any given ship being pivoted, 1 point of energy must be paid. Pivoting 3 turrets would require 3 points of energy. This energy is treated as instantaneous power for purposes of D22.12. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Oh, isn't that? I think I know what that is. I think that's energy allocation uh, due to damage, or basically where you have to after you get damage, you actually have to rejigger the um the energy allocation for the ship, which is
Another rule most people don't use.
and I'm pretty sure it's an optional rule, and it's one of those ones that in the idea I guess is to make it a little more realistic because of you know if you charge a weapon, yeah, okay, that's fine. It might be considered instantaneous power, but things like movement, you really haven't used that movement, the power for that movement until you actually move. Things like that. Um, there's no requirement to pivot a turret in any. No requirement to pivot a turret. Okay, on any turn. That's a surprise. A ship cannot pivot a turret while suffering from a breakdown or while tumbling. Ooh. but the turrets may pivot during a post-het movement restriction period, unless the ship breaks down, as pointed out. So, again, that's kind of I think a neat system. Oh, this one. Big surprise. Soldier again. Dimensional phased devices are used by soldier ships to temporarily slip out of the fabric of real space, quote unquote, to the shadow dimension parallel to ours. The ship disappears from the map and is temporarily removed from play to first level impulses. The dimensional phase device is restricted to soldier use only. Shocker. DPD is destroyed the first any weapon scored on the ship. So if you hit any weapon, you can't hit like one of the other weapons on the ship. You have to hit the dimensional phase device. So unlike cloaking devices, which can only be destroyed by hit and run raids, you can actually hit it and destroy it. Actually, the funny part is when I read that, when it comes to going into the shadow dimension, my question is it just, I assume it's a parallel dimension to our own dimension. I mean, strictly parallel, one for one. Like the place in our dimension is the same place in the shadow realm, 1-to-1. Versus, you might actually. I can easily imagine a place where the quote unquote shadow realm. It might be smaller than our physical realm, and therefore your ships might be close together. If they're in the shadow realm at the same time, I know it's kind of a weird idea. Energy cost. Is, actually, the DPD has a capacitor capable of storing sufficient energy to activate the DPD one time. The energy to activate the DPD may only come from its capacitor, and right. Energy may be assigned to the capacitor from any source. Big surprise. The energy stored in the capacitor must be used within 5 turns. Another one where only holds it for a certain amount of time, which is interesting. In that seems like as part of Omega that they like the weapons and systems that have capacitors seem like they're limited capacitors. Energy cost. There it is. The energy cost to activate DPD is shown. Okay. Hello, people. Oh, it's showing LCD. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming basically it's like cloaking cost, where it depends on the ship, how much it costs to activate a dimensional phase device. Okay, weapon status. If DPD capacitor is fully charged at weapon status 3, and has lesser as other weapon status. Phase out period. The beginning of the phase out. Activate the slowly phase out of the universe. On the impulse, the DPD is activated. The ship begins phase out procedure. It has no effect on weapons fire against the ship. Interesting. When the following impulse possesses effects of 2 bonus ECM. Okay. ECM points, so it does kind of affect fire. This tree is a natural EW and effective at the start of the impulse. The next impulse, the second one after the device is activated, the ship possesses 6 points of ECM points instead of the 2. And at the start of the next impulse, in the third, the ship completely disappears. So basically, it's a very quick phase out period. When the phase out period has begun, the phasing ship is under cloak-like restrictions. Its fire control must be in inactive mode. While phasing out, a ship may not use tractors or transporters. If you
What's that?
No, I was just looking to see if I should ban this person.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Done.
Oh, whoops, sorry. Sure.
Okay. Okay. Bump. Okay, remove from that. When the phase out period has completed, the phase out ship is removed. Boop. While the play still exists in the shadow dimension, it must be moved and operate normally. It may not, however, physically interact with the real universe or anything else anything else in the shadow universe in any way, but it can see and gather information from things in the real universe, including the launch of probes for information purposes. The owning player must. This is always the fun part, which is hidden movement when it comes to hidden movement, hidden cloak, which is the owning player has to record the movement for the phased out ship. This is done in secret and is revealed only as necessary. The movement plot need not be revealed during the scenario except to a non-player judge, available for purposes of verification. In large battles, it is suggested but not required that 2 counters represent phased ships with a record of keeping, which is actual ship. Okay. Right, exactly. It's mentioned that phased out ship can see what actually occurs on the board while phased out. Yeah. If 2 phased out simultaneously, each arrives in a different, slightly out of phase shadow dimension and cannot cooperate. Doc. Okay. Oh, okay. That answers my question there, which is they can't in the case of the ships that go into the shadow realm, they actually can't interact with each other. However, they can see each other's movements, so they can actually see each other move. They just can't interact. So it's kind of, they themselves are like a ghost, in that realm.
Okay. So they're just kind of phased out. They're effectively cloaked.
Right. Okay. So the ship remains phased out for 16 impulses. A unit with more than 1 DPD could activate a second one while phased to extend its time. Okay. So the DPD has a limit of 16 impulses, so it's not like a cloak which you just keep powering it and you can keep it cloaked. This one, it's hit the button, bing, and you get phased out, and then it goes whoop, comes back, unless you have another DPD which is charged, in which case then you can boop, you hit the button, and it actually can extend that time while you're phased out. Okay, when it returns to normal space, the ship will not have its fire control active and may not begin raising it until it has reappeared. Okay. However, the ship does not suffer from disrupted fire control upon its reappearance and can fire direct fire weapons or launch seeking weapons under the provisions and restrictions of passive fire control. Oh, okay. Okay, but then you can't. Okay, so it's not until that the ability reimpaired, which I'm assuming again is 3 impulses. After it starts phasing in, but so which is different than a cloak, where the cloak, as you're activating the fire control as you're decloaking. So that's a neat little sucker. For those of you who've ever wanted actual hidden cloakware, there it is. A very limited hidden cloak, but it works nonetheless. This is for the Rin, which the Rin are a very interesting race. And these are quantum transporters, are used by Rin's ships as their primary movement system and can also be used as transporters. Interestingly, they are self-powered, allowing Rin's ship to move at will. They're self-powered and require no energy. Rate a QT bank can be used only once per turn for movement. There is a 4 impulse delay once a bank has been used before any other bank can be used. Before any other bank can be used by the same ship, so that means you can only move every 4 impulses. Of course, what's okay. Timing. QTs are activated at the same time as normal transporters and operate transporter step. Okay. They're operating simultaneously with other transport. So they're not. Rin ships are completed. Transport operations, including hit and run raids to and from Rin, are completed before the Rin ships itself is moved by QT. Okay, big surprise. QT requires active fire control. Rin units outside the enclave, even if they are near established Rin colony, are subject to a full 2 impulse disruptive fire control because it cannot access the beacon there. If it's in the enclave, it doesn't have that 2 impulse delay. Wow. The movement function, here it is. When a QT is used for movement, the entire Q bank is used simultaneously for that purpose. Okay. A ship may move a number of hexes equal to the number of undestroyed boxes in the bank, or less at the time the bank is activated. Movement is instantaneous, and the moving unit suffers no penalty. I'm not sure how many boxes are in a regular bank. Doesn't say. Let me just see if it mentions it, because I don't have the SSD. If I had SSD, then I can easily show you. And forgive me for not looking that up, because I'm pretty sure it's on my laptop somewhere. A ship protected by Walrus cannot move by quantum transporter. However, while Weasel, which itself moves by quantum transporter, is not voided. Wow. Okay. A ship may move 0 hexes, which normally be done only to facilitate a face changing. A QT bank with all its boxes destroyed cannot be used for movement. Moving 0 hexes under the previous rule, or claiming facing change under 1533. Okay, if the unit that moving by QT transports into the same hex as another unit, they can choose which the shield facing is located. So, unlike regular transporters and mines, you actually can transport a ship into the same hex, and also you get to decide which of the shields are facing that opponent. So basically, what's the orientation between your ship and that ship?
Okay.
Well, the big surprise.
Just the orientation, change the heading.
Okay. Okay. Face changing. When a unit moves by QT, even if it moves only 1 hex or no hex at all, it can change facing 60 degrees to the left or to the right. So
But you don't.
So it can turn.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. A ring unit may transport itself only to a hex located either in the forward or rear arcs. Some specific units may provide exceptions to this rule. These will be noted in the ship descriptions. I don't know any of those at the moment. Okay, if it's moving forward in the forward arc, it may use the full range. If moving the rear arc, the unit may only move to a maximum of half the full range of the bank. Why this is unknown, but may reflect some interference from the unit's own impulse drives. And also, it's almost related to, if you think about it, FedCom, that if you go in reverse, I think in reverse basically it takes twice as much power to go in reverse with FedCom. I think that's well, I think I got that right. When shuttles do not have warp drives like most non-Rin shuttles, they have small impulse which operate separate rules by separate shuttle rules. Rin shuttles are equipped with a limited suite of quantum transporters. So they move by quantum transporters, just like the Wild Weasels, and they're not voided, which was pointed out earlier. Well, there's a lot more to it, but I don't think I'll go through it. But it's just, you can see, like, quantum transporters are kind of cool in that it's a leap system. You don't move from hex to hex. You leap every 4 impulses. You can leap a certain number of hexes. So there's a whole bunch of this as part of this rule, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. And I think it's about time to wrap it up for this evening. I hope people enjoyed the Omega rules and may find something that's interest that they will want to actually maybe buy the Omega Master Rulebook, possibly even pick up like one of the modules, Omega module 1, 2, 3. I think there's also 4. I think it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, well, with that, Doug, awesome. Have you run one? Is there?
No, thanks for having me on again. Nothing really to report about gamers at the moment,
Okay.
but Memorial Day weekend is upon us,
Yes, it is.
and when Dead Friends Day is done, hope to get out and maybe start putting posters out.
Mm-hmm.
So start listing people on the events pages. That would be nice. So
Understood.
get me your list.
Yes. Hint, hint.
Oh, there's a ban for you. That's definitely a ban on your chat room. Somebody's trying to do advertising there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Splat.
I think I might.
Man,
I'm not sure about the other guy. If I banned him,
man, who knows?
I don't know.
Just, yeah.
Oh well. So, well.
But have a good dead weekend. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Okay. You have a good night.
Thanks.
So, we got to go through all those wonderful systems. And obviously, there's much more systems for the Omega. I just picked out the ones which I thought were of interesting. Obviously, the Soldier and their cloaking device, quote unquote, dimensional phase something. I forget the last word. But anyway, so, to actually have a true hidden cloak, which is limited, only 16 impulses. And so, definitely interesting systems. Again, I encourage you to maybe buy the Omega Master Rulebook until you can read through them all. As I've mentioned before, I always found the Omega rules a little awkward. The systems are interesting. It's just that the way it's put together is kind of awkward in my mind, because it's not really made to integrate with the alpha, and have one master rulebook. I'd actually would prefer that myself. But anyway, with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.